Thanks so much for joining me today. And I'm excited to share this garden with you. And this is a garden that I created that I think is a perfect case study for this idea of using a limited plant palette. In my design practice, I get a lot of requests for a garden that is relatively easy to maintain and care for. And one of the ways that I address this for my clients is this idea of using a smaller number of plants. That means that they have fewer number of plants that they need to learn and grow and figure out how to maintain. And arriving at this small number of plants and achieving that simplicity is not necessarily simple to achieve. Really honing in on the best combination of plants that are going to perform as a team over time is the key. So in this garden, I'm going to be walking through with you, and I'm going to share the palette of plants that was used to create this garden, and I'm going to share with you the underlying design principles that we were trying to achieve. This is a relatively large country garden. It is located in USDA zone 7, maybe 6B. So for purposes of planning, I did kind of err towards zone 6. It is located outside of Portland in the foothills of Mount Hood, and its elevation is about 1,000 feet. Some of the overarching design principles that are in play on this garden is the fact that it's in deer country. So we were selecting plants that were going to be resistant to deer browsing. And then the other really important thing was, it's a large garden, so thinking about maintenance throughout the process was essential. While I wouldn't exactly call this low maintenance, I would call it, I kind of coined the term manageable maintenance. And what I mean by that is that it is a limited palette of plants that allow this relatively new gardener to get comfortable with caring for a garden and not have to learn quite as much. We also selected plants that performed well for a long period of time and weren't fussy and would be robust and easy to grow. Maintenance tasks are relatively easy to understand and can be done in batches, if you will. For instance, in late winter, all the large grasses, while we use 3 or 4 different varieties, all of them can be cared for in the same manner at the same time. And same with the perennials in terms of being able to go through and cut them back at the same time, either in late fall or early spring, depending upon the perennial. And here we are, we're looking at the overview. We're just going to walk through, and I'm going to point out the various plants that we used in the palette. This is Yucca Golden Sword, selected for its bold, strappy foliage and its bright yellow color and its evergreen presence. Sedum Dragon's Blood carpets the ground with its succulent, finely textured red foliage. Echinacea Merlot is a very reliable coneflower that has the beautiful pink flowers and the dark stems. Along the front of the arrangement is a blue fescue. Roseanne is a hardy geranium that is an exceptional doer. Sedum Autumn Joy in its early summer coloring. Later, those flowers will turn a rich red pink. Spires of red are Persicaria firetail, and in that scene there you can really begin to appreciate the variety of flower shapes and how they all work together. This is Miscanthus Morning Light. So it's a big grass with the white variegation, so it's kind of light and bright. And there we see our palette again, just really kind of taking a nice scanning view. And we have another grass here. This is Millennia Moor Flame, and it's backed by, well, we've got an evergreen perennial here. That's a Hellebore argutifolius. But back here we've got some of the big grasses, where in a big garden like this, we have an opportunity to use some of these really big plants. That Persicaria is also a real big one. City gardens, we don't really have the opportunity to do that very often. But in this case, we were looking for some big perennials that would have a lot of stature. I hope you enjoyed this case study and this opportunity to walk through this garden and examine the limited plant palette that we used in the design of this garden as a means of achieving our design objectives. eGardenGo is a searchable database of plant combination ideas. Probably the best way to demonstrate it is, let's look up one of the plants that we just saw in this video. So I'm going to look up that Echinacea Merlot, and just a quick search will reveal all the combinations that include that plant. And I'm going to go to this one, and I think it's going to look familiar to you. So the combination that we just looked at in this video is on the site, and so you can learn about each of those plants in detail and click through and not only learn about these plants, but explore them and get even more ideas of how to include them in your garden. This geranium, which was included in our combination, is included in many combinations on the site. And many of the combinations have planting plans available for download. The downloads will help you get the quantity and spacing right as you implement these plant combination ideas in your garden at home. Good luck and have fun, and thanks for watching.